So, it was quite a while back, and we're talking 7 or so years at this point, that I became friends with the Tactical Gearhead channel, specifically John, who was the main contributor to that channel at the time. And the reason why I had gotten in contact with John was actually through a channel called Nutnfancy. Now, a lot of the people that have been on YouTube for a while that have the gear, outdoor, guns type passion really seem to revolve around this individual's channel and his content. And it just had to do with early on, he was one of the first that began producing that type of content. And it was very influential in my approach and when I began the channel. I mean, it really was what inspired me to first begin making videos. Before that, I was simply a viewer and didn't even have a YouTube account. You know, you just go on there, search around for this or that, and see what's going on. But it was because of him that I began the channel. I created an account, all that good stuff, and I owe a great deal to that person and that channel, as well as the content, because I wouldn't be sitting here right now in the same way, I don't think, without that. And I don't think I've ever really directly expressed my appreciation towards that. And even there was a time shortly after where we are in this my YouTube experience story where I actually resented it. Now, there's a video by the Tactical Gearhead channel called 6 Degrees of Nutnfancy, where he goes into a kind of an explanation of how one individual channel leads to another channel, leads to another channel, leads to another channel. A true social network, if you will. And it goes along with the importance of networking and what YouTube was, as opposed to this creator-viewer dichotomy that we have right now. You had YouTubers, and a YouTuber didn't just comment, a YouTuber didn't just make videos, a YouTuber did both. And that was kind of at the time maybe one of our main criticisms towards the Nutnfancy project, but we'll get there, like I said. For me, though, you know, as much as I enjoyed the Nutnfancy channel, he didn't have that much adventure content at the time. But where I did encounter his channel at all was in a video, and it's since long been taken down because it can very easily be misconstrued, where he had a friend who turned the inside of his house into a rifle range. I don't know if anybody else has ever seen this video that's still on here, but it existed, and it is the most badass thing ever. And all I could think of when I watched this video, being a married man with a family, like, wow, this other dude must be single. And then I just kind of took a look at my house and I thought, wow, if I really opened up all these doors and made the way to the garage and created a good backstop, you know, would I be able to put in a 22 caliber rifle range? Pretty crazy stuff, but it was cool. It was really cool. And it was inspiring. It really was. And that could have been the video that really made me push that record button for the very first time. So it's cool stuff. And I was looking for that shooting content and that gun content, because growing up on the Nashville network, you had Spirit of the Wild, you had all these gun shows like the Remington stuff and everything else, and there wasn't anything on TV like that at the time. Nothing at all. You couldn't, hey kitty, you couldn't find something out on TV. We didn't have the Outdoor Network at that time. So what was left? YouTube. YouTube offering something different besides TV. The irony, of course, right now, in the present tense, YouTube's going the way of TV versus offering something different. The Suit Yourself channel gets into this really well, by the way, if you guys subscribe to him. And that is where we got our start. And I'll have another link in the description below of a video of mine from 7 years ago where I do an auto vlog. And 7 years ago, by the way, not very many people were doing auto vlogs because cameras weren't as portable. You know, an 8mm camera was about this big. You know, luckily I had a little handheld camera that could do about 3 minutes of video. So I was able to take that in the car, which again, everybody else was doing, say, grainy webcam stuff. I'm not claiming to be one of the first, but it's a pretty early on car vlog. And I apologize in advance for the shaking. In that automotive vlog, though, is where I'm talking about another user, I think Kicked in the Balls 2000. I mean, I do a big shout out on that, on all these channels that are bigger than me. And it is actually an appreciation video towards them and how their work inspired. Shortly after that, and through that, is when the Lambdog 76 channel got its first big break. And it was through Cutlery Lover. I was just watching him off and on because he was doing gun-related content, so in the searches, that sort of thing comes up. And he did a video about the 7.62x39 round. Now, he had a AK-47, and for those of you who may be watching this that don't know anything about guns, an AK-47 is, of course, a medium-range rifle. If we're getting picky, I mean, I would call it a carbine back then, but it's a medium-range rifle as far as like rifles go nowadays. But he was talking about boxer primers and all this other stuff, and I'd known SKS for quite some time. So for those of you who do not know, you got a firing pin in a rifle, and on some weapons the firing pin simply floats. It doesn't hold back with spring tension. So the problem is, when the breech closes up, this firing pin that floats, okay, if it doesn't have spring tension to draw it back, when that headspace gets taken up and the breech is fully closed, if the primer is too soft on the bullet and your firing pin hits that with a soft primer, then it may inadvertently fire. And that's not a good thing, by the way. So I did a video about primers. And this was back when there were video responses. So my video about the 7.62x39 got put under Cutlery Lover's video, and boom, immediate recognition, immediate just success. Followed it up shortly with a video about the 1911, which is a very popular pistol. And the problem with those videos, though, was I was emulating how Nutnfancy did his videos. Our previous videos, where we're camping and splicing stuff together and doing adventure, it was our style. We were doing what we wanted to show. When I was down there on the tabletop, that wasn't right. And I feel that if I could go back and redo it, I would have applied our own style to those tabletop gear reviews. And you see me do that later on. At first, I got the little gloves on. Nutnfancy would always do that stuff, and I didn't know why at the time. But it kind of makes sense. I kind of wish nowadays that, who is it? Yankee Marshall would glove it up a little bit, because gnarly ass fingers. Same thing with Hickok 45. It's like, Jesus with those thumbs. But I digress. But a person who helped me to find my own voice and help Big Sarge in finding our own voice Big Sarge, of course, being involved with the channel helped that as well. I don't mean that as an aside, but it helped recenter me. But Kicked in the Balls 2000, and I'll have a link down in the description for him as well, for those of you who haven't seen that. And it was a very different approach to gun reviews, very different approach to shooting. The guy really had his shit together back then. So we will stop the YouTube story at this point. Appreciate you guys hanging out for this long. I'm still curious about your story. The last episode had a couple of comments that were really cool. It's really good for me and inspiring to hear other people's story. So let me know what you got. I'm appreciating the thumbs up, of course. Comment if you can. I'd like to see some of these videos roll out. But until next time, we'll catch y'all later.